Hi, and welcome to the 2019 Paper 2. This is the Junior Cert Higher Level, and this is question 9. So as always, if you want the set of notes I'm working off, just send me an email at shanetroy@gmail.com, and that email address should be in the description below. So question 9 here looks like a probability question. So let's get stuck in. And now it's worth noting here that this part 9A, there's 3 different parts to it, and they're only worth 5 marks. And you obviously wouldn't know that going into it. So it looks like a fairly hefty part. Mustn't be that well answered. So Jer flips a coin 3 times. Each time he can get heads or tails. The diagram in the table below shows how he can get each of the 8 different outcomes. Okay. So this is a classic independent event in terms of probability speak. And it's worth noting that every time you flip a coin, the previous thing that happened doesn't affect what's happening now. That's not always the case in probability, okay, but that's the most obvious case. So that may or may not affect this answer here. So part A says complete the table below by doing each of the following. Part 1 says write in each of the missing letters H or T in the diagram. Part 2, write in the 5 missing outcomes. Part 3, write in the number of heads H, okay, in each of the outcomes. So let's get stuck in, okay. So on the first flip, you could get either heads or tails, okay? So you have a 1 in 2 chance of getting a heads or 1 in 2 chance of getting tails. Now the second flip, okay, you could have got a head the first and then a head or tail, or you could have got a tail and then a head or a tail. Okay, so on the third flip, now you could get it again. You could get head or tail, head or tail, head or tail, and head or tail. Okay, so that seems all legit. Now the outcome, you're kind of listing what's happening. So the first one there, it's head by head by head. That's presented. Head by tail. So head by tail. Now, if I recall this, I spent ages putting in lovely text. So let's go and use it. Okay. Apologies for the jumping screen. That's the head, tail we had. That's already given to you. Then we have head, tail is here. Then tail, head is here. Tail, head, tail is here. Then tail, head, that's here. And lastly, tail, and that's here. Okay, that's right. I've earned my money here. Although there's another layer to be filled in. So the number of heads in each outcome. In the first one there you can see there's 3 heads. Here there's 2. Head, tail, head is 2. And here head is only 1 and 2 and 1, 1 and none. Okay. So the table is filled in. Now I put in here, I don't usually do this, but from the marking scheme, if you got 1 correct entry, okay, anything correct, you got the low partial too. So happy days. If you got 6 correct, you got the mid partial. Okay, that thing there. 11 correct. Okay, you got the high partial. Okay, but a lot of work involved in getting this. Okay, I'd say it was a disaster to mark. People, it's just so intricate. You have to go through it, and worth so few marks in the end. Anyway, that's question 9, part A, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so part B here is saying each outcome is equally likely. Fill in the table below to show the probability that Jer gets each of the given number of heads. So what's the probability of him getting 0 heads? Now, there's 8 possible things could happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's your bottom. Okay, get no heads. Okay, that happened once. Okay, out of the 8 times. How many would have 1 head? Okay, so 1 head here, this one, and this one, and this one. Okay, so that happened 3 out of 8 times. The first one was 1 out of 8. Now I have the answer to now, so let's go and flick to it. So how many times did head occur twice? Well, it was here, and here, and here. I think that's all. Yeah. That's 3 out of the 8 times. And you're only left with 1. 1 and 3 is 7. Okay. So the head occurred 3 times in one of the 8 outcomes. That's it. Okay. As long as you understand what the question's asking, it's very handy. Now, this is a good point to say, and I don't want to say it all the time, but let's say you've made a Hames of this first diagram. Okay. The answer you would be given now would be accepted as correct based on the answer you gave in part A, 1, 2, 3. So that's good for you. Okay. So even if you don't or really struggle with part A, make up an answer. And if you can answer part B based on the answer you made up, it will have to be marked as correct. Which again, in this question, would be a disaster to try keep track of all the different. You'd have to really look at it very, very carefully. Now in part C here, part C 1, 2, 3, no sorry, part C 1 and 2, and then part D are all marked under this 10 marks. Okay, so which is kind of odd. It says here, Fidelma flips a coin 8 times. Okay, again, now each time is a different event. Okay, so they're not connected. Each time she can get heads or tails. Write down the number of outcomes that have no heads. Okay, that's just 1. Okay, that's 1 out of 8. We've already answered that. Okay, this question seems weird. Now to think about it, that question's already been answered in part B. Just a different perspective on it. So part 2 here says, work out the number of outcomes that have exactly 1 head. Okay. No. 1 head, no. 3, 3, 2, 1. That's right, that's 1. No. 1 there and 1 there. So that's 3 out of the 8 outcomes. Again, I feel like that's been asked. Like literally, that's what that's asking. Okay. Okay, I'm just confused. So part D there says work out the total number of outcomes when Fidelma flips the coin 8 times. Okay. And now, if Fidelma flips it 8 times, she's going to be there's 2 possibilities, and okay, flips it again, so it's 2 times 2, and again, so it's times 2. So the word and in probability means multiply. Now, a simple way of doing that is 2 to the power of 8 is the same thing as multiplying 8 times. And that comes out as being 256. Okay. Now we've done that, the answer out there. That's it then, done out. Okay, and that's, if you know your probability, whatever, that's fairly handy. Right, so that's question 9. Thanks very much, and see you on question 10.